Who would have thought that we would have got to a part 3 of games that shut down in 2022? You, because you watched last episode and you knew this was coming. That's what she said. So I want to, before we get into this list, because it's a thick boy, I want to talk about something I noticed with these games, and tell me if I'm right or wrong. But a lot of the games I noticed shutting down were trend games, so like Hyperscapes and Scavengers that were hopping onto the Battle Royale trend, when I think we're slowly starting to edge out of the Battle Royale trend, and MMORPGs that have been running for a very long time, which makes sense. You can't keep games going on forever in their original state. I think if you're going to keep a game running that long, it needs to change in some way. And some of these games were so old that you would have to have like a massive overhaul, and it's just not worth it. You just close it down and create something new. But those are the two common denominators I noticed. Let me know what you guys think, because I'm curious. And before you get all up in arms, let me know what games I missed. Let me know at the end of the video, because there's a shit ton of games that we're going to get into right now. I love you guys. Thank you for sticking with me for 3 parts, and stay tuned for more. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'm free like the wind. Okay, anyway. Survarium. I'm going to butcher names today, so just stick with me. Survarium was a stalker-inspired online shooter FPS that recently closed down after a 7-year spectacular run, all while never leaving early access. You guys, if you are my personal friends or you know me, I have thoughts about games being around that long, taking people's money, and not leaving early access. But I digress. We're not going to turn that into it. That's another video for another day. A new chapter awaits the developer Vostok Games announced as they closed the game, and although the studio claims to be hiring for a AAA shooter based on an ambitious new IP, whatever that could mean, it might be some time before the project really begins and we see anything from it. Which is okay. Let it cook. Let all the chefs in the kitchen get the soup ready. Let the pasta be delicious. I don't want any rush games. I've played rush games, Mass Effect Andromeda, Cyberpunk. Let things cook. Also, the second Russian invasion happened of Ukraine, and people had to flee the Kiev studio. So take all the time you need. I'd rather people be safe than have a video game be in the works and put your safety on the line. You know? I will say, after watching gameplay of this game reminds me less of Stalker and more like a Fallen Earth or a DayZ or like some post-apocalyptic game mixed with Call of Duty. It's an FPS with a feel of Chernobylite, which I love Chernobylite, without the story of Chernobylite, or without story at all. Even though Survarium is not part of the Stalker series, creators included elements that were similar, including anomalies and artifacts that you can run into that are a nod to the Russian science fiction book Roadside Prince and Stalker. Basically, think of it as Stalker with multiplayer only. S2. Yes, I just like to say S2. I said it a third time. That game company created a MOBA called Heroes of Newerth. I don't know how to say it. For PC, Linux, and Mac. The MOBA was based off of the Defense of the Ancients custom map from Warcraft 3: The Frozen Throne. The game was first made available in 2010. Yes, dang, I think I was still in... Yeah, I was in grade 12 at that time. Dang. And it was released for free in 2011 once people didn't want to pay for a MOBA. Heroes of Newerth's development responsibilities were transferred to Frostborn Studios in May 2015, and the development team that was originally working on it moved on to other projects. This game fought against the Titan that is League of Legends and Dota, and ultimately lost the battle but did not kill the game. After its 2010 launch, this game went to run for another 10 years, but in December 2021, the game was announced to be closing on June 20th, 2022. This was one I kind of didn't really have a super ton of info on. Eternal Magic was a relatively new MMORPG that was created by the Duyoni, I don't know how to say it, network, and was published by 101X in 2020. So really, really new. But a couple other games were started in 2020 that have closed down. Hyperscape. It was an enormous universe with dynamic action that influenced the conflicts, or that had intense conflicts with up to 80 players at once. Now, doesn't seem like a lot. We have games like PlanetSide, COD 64, yeah, like, doesn't seem like a lot, but for an MMO, that's it's a lot of people casting a lot of spells in a small area, you know? The game went from a all-time high of 620 players back in the day to just 6 players at the start of January of 2022. The game's player count, not record, player count dropped drastically, which led to its closure. It just couldn't maintain an audience. Now, I'm not here to dogpile on Ubisoft. You guys know I actually really like Ubisoft games. Assassin's Creed is one of my favorite series of all time. But they have been slipping up a bit. And it's not just this year. Apparently it's been going on for a while, but we know this stuff. Look at Blizzard. Look at some of the stuff from Riot. Like, this is an ongoing issue in the gaming industry, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about them shutting down the Far Cry 3's multiplayer. They shut down a few games. They did. They really did. And for good reason. It was just time. We covered Assassin's Creed in part 1, and Far Cry pretty much shut down for the same reason. It was just time, and they can't keep things open forever. I mean, Far Cry 6 is out. That means there are 6 full Far Cry games that in the timeline that have come out since. We've seen Blood Dragon, which was the DLC for this, which is its own standalone release. Far Cry 4, Far Cry Primal that everybody forgets about, Far Cry 5, Far Cry New Dawn, which was DLC, but I think it's also a standalone now, and Far Cry 6. That's 6 full games since Far Cry 3 came out in 2012. Damn. Far Cry 3, by a majority of the fan base, is considered to be the best Far Cry game, and I can't speak on it because I haven't played 5, Primal, 6, New Dawn. I've only played 4 and Blood Dragon, so I'm not going to speak on it, but it is a really good game. And some people consider it Ubisoft's best game. Now, while that is debatable, there is no doubt we all know about Voss. We know about the craziness that was Far Cry 3. In the multiplayer, players would take part in co-op missions, and instead of just like typical team deathmatch that you would see, and that made gameplay entertaining and refreshing and made you constantly want to play. The replayability was kind of out of the... It was really great. Gameplay got outrageous like the single player at times, and everything players learned from the story they could use in the multiplayer, which mean you could go into the single player and practice your skills and come whoop some ass in the multiplayer. Sadly, again, the servers are closed, so you can't go back and relive that glory of it. And I honestly don't know, like Assassin's Creed 3, if you would want to go back and replay the multiplayers. They don't hold up to some of the quality of life stuff we have in games today. I don't know. Did you ever experience this multiplayer? And what is your favorite Far Cry game? I think mine would 3 or Blood Dragon. Blood Dragon was balls to the walls fun. Online servers for Killzone Mercenaries and the controversial PS4 launch title Killzone Shadowfall were shut down in August 12, 2022, a full 9 years after Shadowfall, which was the last Killzone game that we know of released to the public. They finally pulled the plug. I was a massive fan of 2 and 3, but never touched Shadowfall. Just the controversy around it, and then by the time I got a PlayStation 4, I was already playing Destiny, so I had no desire to go play this. But I remember the day they took the Killzone 3 servers off. I fired up my PS3, played a few rounds, and said farewell to a game that really got me into FPS gaming and sniping. And I imagine folks that actually like this game were very much in the same boat. Like a lot of the games we talked about, it made sense that the servers had to go down. 9 years. 9 years is such a long time, considering that Guerrilla has since released Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, and the VR title is on the way, including DLCs for those games. They're not concerned about Shadowfall. They're not concerned about the Killzone series. They are doing everything they want to with Horizon Zero Dawn, or the Horizon series. They have no reason to go back to Killzone. Oh, even though that does make me a wee bit sad because I am a super fan of the Killzone series, but I'm glad I got to experience the game when I did, and I'm thankful for the fans and the memories. The friends, not the fans. The friends I made and the memories I made. Did you guys ever play Shadowfall? Did you ever play the Killzone series? Because a lot of people haven't. But let me know in the comment section below. So this one may be cheating, as Overwatch is not truly gone. It just evolved into another form, Overwatch 2. I know a lot of people were wary when this was finally brought out, and even when it was announced, I saw some people really concerned about it. I'll be honest, I've played Overwatch. It has rough patches. I'm glad that it's free to play for people and more people can experience it. And it will find its feet eventually and go on to be just like Overwatch 1 was. But will this new version help revive the league scene and boost competitive play again? I don't know. I'm not Blizzard. I can't speak on that. But it is way too late to say psych and go back to Overwatch 1, you know? Crowfall was a crowdfunded MMO that went live last year and shut down within the year for a very strange reason, and that was to save the game. Devs Monumental said that the reason they had to take it offline was so they could concentrate on development rather than live operations. In order to have a future, they basically needed to stop the game so they can fix it, so they can beta test it, bring new things in without busting it up and having people lose things, so they decided to shut down the game so they could fix it. And I wish more games had this mentality. This is an old person on the soapbox thing, but since we've had live games or game downloads, game patches, I think the quality of delivering a finished product has gone down significantly, because there's always the we can come back and fix it later instead of get it right the first time and have a masterpiece. Not a masterpiece, but a working game. There's a lot too much games that are released less than half-assed that get away with it because it's like, oh, just wait for the day one patch, wait for the patch in a week or whatever. I don't know. That's my old person moment. I'm leaving my old person soapbox. But there is no indication of if or when Crowfall, not Crowdfall, will return, and that they will share the strategy with the community as it develops and shapes up. Take as long as you need. Like I said, let the chefs cook in the kitchen and let the dish be right, because you don't want some half-ass product that everybody's gonna hate. But that also, in a weird turn, this also puts more pressure on them because they've taken the game offline, so it better be something really worth taking people's money for and taking it offline for. It's a weird conundrum. Gaming is so weird. Nobody's ever happy. None of us are happy. So, interestingly, Blessed Unleashed was a 2020 reboot of a 2018 game called Blessed Online. Blessed Online was set in a seamless fantasy world, with the main plot centering on a conflict raging for 10 years between two nations. There were climate zones that divided the game worlds into different sections. Race determined a group of characters you will side with, and all that, kind of like Star Wars game, Jedi, Sith, or any other games out there. Players can choose their race, class, and all that. Players would take part in PvP castle sieges to increase the strength of their group. Siege victories resulted in new quests and resources being unlocked, and role-playing situations based on ethnicity and faction were also available for gamers to advance their characters. I did start this one up, and immediately I don't know. It just felt weird. Maybe I played Blessed Online instead of Blessed Unleashed. I can't remember, but this was not a game I was into. I don't know how much the reboot differs from the original game, so I can't speak on why the game was closed. I will say probably that not only with Bandai's statement that unfortunately that their time was coming to an end with Round 8, who are the devs, and their agreement and their contract came to an end, and Bandai wouldn't be continuing support. I think it was also just couldn't find his footing, or not couldn't find his footing. It was just couldn't maintain a steady player base, as a lot of these games have come to experience. So Elyon, I hope I'm saying that right. When I first saw screenshots for this, when it was coming up, I thought it was Biomutant for a hot second, but this was formerly Ascent Infinite Realm, a massive MMORPG. An MMORPG created by Bluehole Studios and released by Keiko Games. The game was made free to play before it launched and went on sale in Korea in December 2022, and in October 2021, it received its European and North American launches. Sadly, a little after a year. Oh shit, that was a struggle. A little after a year, in December 7th, 2022, the game makers were compelled to shut down due to poor player retention rates and declining popularity of the game. It once boosted an all-time high of 15,000 players, but only had 14 active people during its final month. Rest in peace, Elyon. This one might be cheating as well. Y'all tell me. Okay. We didn't set no rules or standards, so it's not cheating. I say it's not. But this one, okay. You tell me. It was announced last year that it would be shutting down. Let's just say if I do this next year, it will be on that list as well. But Babylon Fall lasted a mere 194 days before Platinum Games had seen enough and threw in the towel. Amidst mostly negative reviews, users on Steam and Steam gave it like mixed to mostly negative reviews, and it got a aggregate score of 46 on Metacritic. The game suffered to find its footing. I think I might have this one. No, I have Godfall on PC, but I want to try it, but I don't want to at the same time because it's not closed yet, so I could still try it, but I don't want to spend money on it. And I don't know if it's free to play. They should make it free to play for this last bit. The game only reached a concurrent player count of less than 1,200 people on release day and declined sharply afterwards. I don't really know much about this game. All I know is the troubles it had and that it was made by Platinum. So tell me if you've ever played this game, if you liked it, if you did not like it, and if you think its closing down is justified. This is a big one, and we're just gonna kind of breeze through it, and you can say this might be cheating as well, but Stadia. There were about 278 games on Stadia, and I'll be honest, I did not go through every single one that was on the list, but at a quick glance, there was a shit ton of third parties. Like there was a shit ton of Ubisoft games. There's Assassin's Creed game, and there was some really cool indie games, like one of my favorites, Chicken Police Painted Red, which I did do a review on. In July, Google's denied rumors that the Stadia was closing, although we kind of caught the first whiffs of death that it was closing. And in September, so July to September of 2022, Google closed Stadia. Google closed it. Surprise! Google closed something. However, Baron Jones, one of my best friends, brought up a very good point, and now that I think of it, it makes sense. How else is Google supposed to advertise? Thinking like that, when you sit and think about that, that makes so much sense why Google pumped so much money into Stadia every few months to keep it in the news cycle in any way possible, be it bad or good. Think about it. Google, we are so used to Google that we don't think about Google. So how is Google supposed to advertise? They have the money to throw at things. Was it Death by Google, I think, .com or something? You can see almost 200 programs, services, sites, everything that Google has shut down. Google, I think Stadia was an advertising campaign that they did not intend to keep open for very long. They never cared. I should say the Stadia team cared. Google themselves didn't care, or at least it very much seems like that. It seems like, and Amazon is facing the same thing, where you can't just toss money at something. You may have more money than God, but you cannot just toss money at something to get it to work. And I think Google knew that. Google knew that they would never really break into the gaming market with the way they wanted to, but we talked about Google, we're talking about it now, we talked about Stadia, and I just feel bad because there's so many cool little games that I saw on Stadia that may never come out again. And with Stadia having no physical copies, I don't... Are those games dead? Are they gonna die? Like, I don't care about the third-party studios because they've already come out on other platforms. But the Stadia exclusive games, which I don't know how many there were, honestly, I was not gonna go through a list of 278 games. But are those games gonna be gone forever? I hope not, because some of them really did look cool. But aside from that, that is the end of part 3, you guys. This one was a doozy. She was a long one, guys. I am happy if you got to the end of this. Tell me which game from this list you were super surprised, or overall. Tell me what you guys... Give me some predictions for this year, what games you think are going to shut down this year. Confirmed or unconfirmed, because I think Marvel is shutting down Avengers, or they're stopping support for it soon. I don't know if they're stopping support. They're not shutting down the servers. But what games you were predicting that are going to shut down within 2023? And I will write them all down and cover them at the end of the year, which I know we're still in January, but or at least I'm recording this in January. January's almost over. This is wild. It feels like the month hasn't even started. I don't know. 2023 flying by already. But again, let me know what you guys think of this. And I don't know what I'm going to cover next, but you guys will see me around more because I love you guys. Stay safe out there. Have some fun. Play some video games. And, I'll see you guys when I see you. Bye, guys.